Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivadadhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Rangana Yashodanandana Brajadana Rangana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivadadhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Rangana Yashodanandana Brajadana Rangana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrargacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shirabai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandibiti Founder Acharya's Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Dainitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksurandilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tum Sajivam Sadvaitam Savrutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyayevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil. loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Puranam Brahma Samitam
Puranam Brahmasamitam
Uttama Shloka Charitam
Uttama Shloka Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreya Sayalokasya
Nishreyasai Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasyayanam Maha.
Dharanyam Sasenam Maha.
The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantara, as the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
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 Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Mukam karoti vasaram pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class. Continuing Canto number 1, chapter 11, entitled Lord Krishna's entrance into Dvaraka, and today is 1/8.
Yes, buddy.
1/8/18. Varanendram
Varanindram
Puraskritya
Puraskritya
Brahmanai
Brahmanai
Sasumangalai
Sasu Mangalai
Shankha
Shankha
Turya
Turya
Ninadena
Ninadena
Brahma
Brahma
Ghoshena
Koshena
Chadritaha
Chadritaha
Pratyujagmu
Pratyujagamu
Rathair Ristaha
Rishtaha
Pranayagata
Pranayagata
Sadvasaha
Sadvasaha
Varanendram Puraskritya
Varanindram Puraskritya
Brahmanai Sasumangalai
Brahmanai Sasumangalai
Shanka Turya Ninadena
Sanka Turya Ninadena
Brahma Ghoshena Chadritaha
Brahma Goshena Jadrita
Pratyujagmu Rathair Ristaha
Pratyurjagmu Ratharishta
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Varanindram Puraskritya
Varanindram Puraskritya
Brahmanai Sasumangalai
Brahmanai Sasumangalai
Shankya Turya Ninadena
Sangaturya Ninadena
Brahma Gosena Chadritaha
Brahma Goshena Chandrida
Pratyuj Jagmurathar Ristaha
Pratyur Jagmurathayarishta
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Vadanendra Puraskritya
Varanendra Puraskritya
Brahmanai Sasumangalai
Brahmanai Sasumangalai
Shanka Turya Ninadena
Shankha Turya Ninadena
Brahma Gosena Chadritaha
Brahma Goshena Chadritaha
Pratyu Jagmurathar Ristaha
Pratyu Jagmurathayarishta
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Varanendram Puraskritya
Vadanendram
Varanendram
Puraskritya
Puraskritya
Brahmane sa Sumangalai
Brahmanai
Brahmane Sasumangalai
Sasumangalai
Shankaturiya Ninadena
Shankaturya
Shankaturya
Ninadena
Ninadena
Brahma Goshena Chadruta
Brahma
Brahma
Gosena
Goshena
Sadvitaha
Chadritaha
Pratyujukmaratai
Pratyu
Pratyu
Jagmu Rathaya
Jagmurathayarishta
Ristaha
Pranaya Gata Sadvaha
Pranayagata
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Sadvasaha
Varanendram Puraskritta
Varanendram
Varanendram Puraskritya
Puraskritya
Brahmanai Sasumangalaha
Brahmanai
Brahmanai
Sasumangalai
Sasumangalai
Shankaturiya Ninadena
Shankaturya
Sankaturya
Ninadena
Ninadena
Brahma Ghoshena Chadritaha
Brahma
Brahma
Gosena
Goshena
Chadritaha
Chadritaha
Tatra Jagmu Rathai Hasta
Ratna Jagmurathayarishta
Panayagata Sadvasa
Pranayagata Sadvasa Varanindam Puraskritya
Varanendram Puraskritta
Brahmane Sasumangalai
Brahmane Sasamangalai
Sankaturya Ninadena
Shankaturiya Ninadena
Brahma Goshena Chadritaha
Brahma Ghoshena Chadrita
Pratyujagmurathayardishta
Pratyu Jagmu Rathaya Rista
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Varanendram Puraksriya
Varanendram
Varanindram
Puraskritya
Purashriya
Brahmanai Samumangalai
Brahmanai
Brahmane
Sasumangalai
Sasumangalai
Sankaturya Ninadena
Shankyaturya
Shankaturya
Ninadena
Ninadena
Brahma Gosena Chadrtaha
Brahma
Brahma
Goshena
Goshena Chadritaha
Chadritaha
Pratyujagmurater Harstaha
Pratyu Jagmu Rathaya Ristaha
Pratyujagmurathayarishta
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Pranayagata
Pranayagata Sadvasaha
Sadvasaha Varana Indram
Varana Indram
Elephants on the auspicious mission.
Elephants on the auspicious mission
Mm. Puraskritya,
Puraskritya
putting in the front.
putting in the front
Brahmanai,
Brahmanai
by the Brahmanas.
by the Brahmanas
Sasumangalai,
Sasumangalai
with all auspicious signs.
with all auspicious signs
Shankaha,
Shankaha
Shanka,
Shanka
conch shell.
conch shell
Turya,
Surya
bugle.
bugle
Ninadina,
Ninadena
by the sound of
by the sound of
Brahmagosena,
Brahmagoshena
by chanting the hymns of the Vedas.
by chanting the hymns of the Vedas
Cha
Cha
and
and
Adritaha,
Adritaha
glorified,
glorified
Prati,
Prati
towards
towards
Ujagmuhu,
Ujagmuhu
proceeded hurriedly,
proceeded hurriedly
Rathai,
Rathai
on the chariots,
on the chariots
Ristaha,
Rishtaha
in cheerfulness,
in cheerfulness
Pranayagata,
Pranayagata.
Saturated with affection.
Saturated with affection.
Sadvasaha.
Dvasaha.
All respectful.
All respectful.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Raghava Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai. Bhakti Jai.
They hasten. They hasten toward the Lord on chariots with brahmanas bearing flowers. Before them were elephants, emblems of good fortune. Conch shells and bugles were sounded, and Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which were saturated with affection. Kindly repeat after me. They hastened toward the Lord
They hastened toward the Lord
on chariots
on chariots
with brahmanas bearing flowers.
with brahmanas bearing flowers.
Before them were elephants.
Before them were elephants.
Before them were elephants,
Before them were elephants.
emblems of good fortune.
Emblems of good fortune.
Conch shells and bugles
Conch shells and bugles
were sounded,
were sounded.
and Vedic hymns were chanted.
And Vedic hymns were chanted.
Thus they offered their respects,
Thus they offered their respect,
which were saturated with affection.
which were saturated with affection.
Purport. The Vedic way of receiving a great personality creates an atmosphere of respect, which is saturated with affection and veneration for the person received. The auspicious atmosphere of such a reception depends on the paraphernalia described above, including conch shells, flowers, incense, decorated elephants, and the qualified brahmanas reciting verses from the Vedic literatures. Such a program of reception is full of sincerity on the part of both the receiver and the received. Translation again. They hasten toward the Lord on chariots with brahmanas bearing flowers. Before them were elephants, emblems of good fortune. Conch shells and bugles were sounded, and Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which were saturated with affection. So the topic is in regards to Vedic reception of honored guests. It is all part of the Vedic culture, how to properly receive great personalities. And of course, here they are receiving the greatest of all personalities, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So elephants are mentioned as being emblems of good fortune. It was common that in what we call bygone days, in previous days, kings would keep elephants. We sometimes have small elephants on the altar, not big ones, small. There are many auspicious signs. Actually, in the Vedic culture, it's described how the king, and that applies for all of us, from the early morning, from the beginning, we should put our glance, throw our glance on what is auspicious. Just like the photo of the spiritual master, the conch shell, Tulsi Devi, where we are living, our immediate surrounding should be having these different auspicious, we should surround ourselves with auspiciousness through these different items. Incense, auspicious, conch shell, just the sight of conch shell, what to speak of blowing the conch shell. So we start the day actually with Mangala Arati, auspicious ceremony. It is described in the Shastra how a king, in the early morning, he would especially be seeing. For example, he would go and see the Goshala. He would see the cows. Yeah, we come and we see the Lord on the altar. Decorations, just like yesterday, our whole Jagya, this penjor, Balinese penjor. We can see pictures of it, on the internet. They're very, very colorful, and these are all wonderful ways in which people mean citizens, devotees, can be engaged. So when we see, there's a lot of, it took us, 4 hours? How many hours?
Yeah, 4 hours.
About 4 hours.
Yes.
And not only one person, right? But there were about maybe 6, 7, or 8 devotees working on this. So Guru Seva Prabhu was telling, normally it takes 1 hour for like 2 people. Took us 4 hours. Anyway, it was the first time. So this creates a very, Prabhupada mentions, when these kind of activities are performed, then it's a sign of affection, because to do this very nicely, just like to make a garland, like here in Mayapur, especially during festivals. I mean, every day they have a whole department for just making garlands. I don't know, 50 people or 50 devotees or more. They have to pick up the garlands. They have to separate the garlands. They have to. It's a whole science how to make a nice garland. When Srila Prabhupada was present physically, devotees, they would, I'm sure you've seen, they would garland him sometimes so much so that you couldn't see Prabhupada. Had to remove had to remove some of the garlands. So we see even like in the Battle of Kurukshetra, they would decorate the chariot, they would decorate the horses, with all kinds of ornaments, including gold. They had so much gold.
Yes.
Now we don't. So yeah, the gold has disappeared. So this is this is culture, just like we will see actually on December 25th, when we will have our first Jagya, right? In the Yagyashala, which actually within 1 week, more or less, it should be pretty well complete. So in Indonesia especially, I've seen that more so in Indonesia than India. When they have a Jagya, it's like all kinds of fruits and flowers and coconuts and banana leaves, and it's very, very opulent, very colorful. So, and it takes, there's a whole, there's a in Vedic culture, there's a science to do everything, and this is nicely given actually in the Shastra, and this is what we should be learning. This is what we should be practicing as well. So they are listed here. Prabhupada makes a point that to create such an auspicious atmosphere, then specifically Prabhupada mentions the auspicious atmosphere of such a reception depends on the paraphernalia, right? Just like when we have, Janmashtami or Gaur Purnima, or when there's Diwali, it's like the whole temple and the whole area becomes very nicely decorated, and in other words, the more we are learning how to utilize these different auspicious paraphernalia, then it means that these are direct ways of expressing our gratitude, our love, and our affection, isn't it? And naturally, Krishna becomes more and more pleased. We're able to, that is what we should be endeavoring to do. We should be attracting the attention of Krishna. Our activities in devotional service are meant to to attract Krishna's attention, Krishna's blessings upon us. So that is very prominent and very nicely described in this verse. In other words, all of the senses. In sense, can smell, isn't it? Conch shell, we can hear, isn't it? Decoration, we can see. And of course, whenever such festivals are held, then prasadam. So we can, all the senses are fully kind of like engaged and saturated, isn't it? So in this way, that's why, for example, in temples like Vrindavan, they have, what is it? 24-hour kirtan. In Mayapur also, yeah, correct. Mayapur, they started in Vrindavan, now it's also here in Mayapur. So the idea is that in the spiritual world, there's always some transcendental sound vibration. It's like when you come to a temple, you should hear, When you go to a cemetery, it's quiet. You don't hear any sound. But when you come to a temple, sound vibration, a transcendental sound vibration. That's why we are meant to play, Papa's bhajans, which sometimes we forget. But in same thing in Goshala, we will be having also in Goshala for the pleasure of the cows. The chanting, the glories of Mother Surabhi is very auspicious. All of these things create auspiciousness. And yes, the chanting of Vedic hymns, we tend to underestimate the importance, the value, and the potency of transcendental sound vibration, Vedic hymns. Some years back, when I was visiting, I think it was, in either in Jakarta or maybe it was Cambodia, some Indian person who knew about Sanskrit. He was teaching Sanskrit from India. He was explaining how Sanskrit is such a language that by the mere recitation or simply by hearing, when it is properly pronounced, there's a whole science in in speaking Sanskrit. It has simultaneously both a material and spiritual positive effect on the body, isn't it? Recently, one devotee was sharing how, I think it is in England, that in one of the school, Sanskrit has become mandatory. The students have to learn because the person who is teaching it has understood that there are so many hidden, we could say, benefits. They help in the articulation. They help in the concentration, learning Sanskrit. So that was like integral part in the Vedic culture. So all of these descriptions that are here, just like we will be getting flags. When we go to temples, big temples, old temples, they generally have flags, just like very common to have flags of Hanumanji or Garuda. These are all different ways in which we can create that type of mood and atmosphere. When we physically create, just like here, we're also planning to have Garuda Stamba. Yeah, we're going to have a Garuda Stamba and Vijay Stamba. Oh, Vijay. Ananta Vijay. Our Ananta Vijay will be here, standing up, fully conscious, fully awake. Yeah. Vijay, victory. Victory.
Yes, I know. But you make like what? Like statue or what?
No, it's a stamba means it's a column. It's a column which is decorated with different auspicious signs. I've never installed a, Vijay column, but it is present in different temples, especially some of the more traditional temples, so that when we enter on the Rajmarg, from a distance, we can see before entering the temple. Actually, on the pathway, there is some of these. Yeah, it's all for creating, preparing the visitor, the devotee, to have nice darshan of the Lord. Yeah. So these are all part of what brahmanas are meant to chant. Here the brahmanas are very eagerly chanting all kinds of auspicious mantras. And that the brahmanas, they're the ones who are knowing about all of these different, ways of decorating temples, and it's all as well very much connected with like vastu, where different things should be, etc., like that. So just to summarize means, we'll just read again the translation. They means the various residents of Dvaraka, Dwarkapuri. They hasten toward the Lord, means they very quickly started going towards the Lord on their chariots. That means the Lord was still quite some distance outside the city. So they went to greet him on chariots with brahmanas bearing flowers. Yeah, flowers. So we should grow more and more flowers. And before them were elephants, which are emblems of good fortune. Conch shells and bugles were sounded, and Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which were saturated with affection. Yes. We should have, that should be some of the, some courses we are giving here, which can show how to actually, how to perform different ceremonies, how to receive personalities. Yes. So any thoughts or questions on this? Yes.
Especially for Garuda.
Garuda.
Yeah.
You like Garuda?
I see that in here, people. I saw it in my phone, and you know, how it also. I don't know the name.
What is why
Yeah, so
Garuda?
what's the importance or meaning?
What is the importance of Garuda? Well, Garuda is Vishnu's carrier.
Yes.
He carries Vishnu, and Garuda is he's like for protection. That's why, like if you visit in South India, um, especially we see in South India, in front of the temple, on both sides actually, we see that in Udupi. On the right side uh, is uh, is Garuda, and on the left side is Hanumanji. So they are, Hanumanji is, they're powerful personalities who are fully devoted, and and they are they are there to actually protect. They are emblem of total dedication, just like someone who is fully surrendered. Then he's there to protect his master. So Hanumanji is always there to protect and to serve, isn't it? Hanumanji, we see him with folded hands. He's just waiting for the Lord. What can I do? What should I do? He's just waiting for the orders, you know. So Garuda's in that same mood and mentality, and so therefore uh, they are present generally outside, just in front of the temple. Sometimes facing facing the the deities. Yeah, just like maybe in the front also. I think like in Mayapur here, yeah, is facing the temple. Right.
So, what another question? Because you know that Ganesh is like elephant
Body.
Ganesh.
Yes, Ganesh.
But you said that we should not worship demigods as devotees. We should not offer worship demigods. So is it good also to have Ganesh statue?
You also like Ganesh.
Ganesh deity.
Ganesh deity also in temple. Is it good?
We generally we don't have Ganesh deities in our temples, but the Ganesh is mentioned in the Nectar Devotion.
Yeah.
Yes, but in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, our main worshipable deity, of course, is Krishna, Radha and Krishna, and therefore we recognize the importance and the potency of so many other personalities are there, but to do not diverge from the main worship of Krishna, or Radha and Krishna, or Sitaram, or Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, who are, Gonitai. They are the main personalities that we worship. So we in our temples we don't have, although we offer respects to so many other personalities.
Because I saw even in shop temple shop in Mayapur also they are selling Ganesh.
Oh, okay, yeah. You can buy Ganesh.
No,
Well, they all have different positions and yeah, but we generally we don't have. I mean, I've not Prabhupada didn't install Ganesh in our temples, and although they are they are personalities whom we respect, but we don't directly. Okay, so we can close for now. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. Gauda Pimanandi.
Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj ki.
Jai.